Hey gaming fans, so today's another Yu-Gi-Oh deck build, and this is also for the Genesys format. I'm having a lot of fun with this format, especially going back and looking at some of the decks I've built in the past and seeing if I can make it work in this format. So this one actually comes to 100 points after I added up everything, and funny enough, a lot of the Dark World cards are like 5 points each, so it wasn't too hard to build this deck. But anyways, let's get to the build. So we got two of the Ceruli Guru of Dark World. This is kind of a fun card. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, special summon it from the graveyard to your opponent's side of the field in defense position. When it's special summoned by the effect of a Dark World card, which it itself is a Dark World card, your opponent must discard one card. And by opponent, that would be myself. So I would be able to discard one of my Dark World cards and count as if it was discarded by an opponent's effect. So that's a really cool feature to have in Dark World, to be able to get that secondary trigger effect. Then we got two Parl Harmit of the Dark Worlds. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target one Dark World monster in your graveyard, except himself, and special summon it to either field. So again, you could special summon this guy from your graveyard to your opponent's field to trigger that effect again, which is really cool. And if this is discarded by your opponent's card effect, you could special summon another Fiend monster that is banished to either side of the field. So, again, if he's banished, you can grab him. Or any other one you want. Then we're going to have three of the Genta Gateman of the Dark World. He's really only in here to grab your field spells, so you can special summon Genta Gateman of the Dark World once per turn. You can discard this card to the graveyard, add one Gates of the Dark World from your deck to your hand. If this card is banished and you control a Dark World card, you can special summon this card. So basically, you know, you use them as fodder for the field spell to start getting advantage out of it. But also to grab that field spell, which becomes very important in this deck. So we got three of the Brow Huntsman of the Dark World. He's a pretty simple effect. If he's discarded, you draw a card. If it's discarded from your opponent's effect, you get to draw two cards, so not too bad. And he's a level 3, 1400 attacker. You're going to use him also to summon your Graphas and stuff like that. Decide to put in one gold. Gold is got 0 points in the Genesys system, but silver has, I think, 30 or something, or 40 or 100, or I don't know. So, silver, you can't really play him in this build. So I put one gold in here. Still a pretty good effect. If he's discarded, you get to special summon him, and if it's by your opponent's effect, you get to select two cards on your opponent's side of the field and destroy them. So that's always handy to be able to break down your opponent's field. Now I got one Lucent Netherworld of the Dark World. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, special summon it. And if it was discarded by your opponent's effect, you can special summon one Fiend monster from your deck to either side of the field. So again, you can grab this guy if you want to trigger his effect, or you can just grab one of your big Fiends and throw him on the field. Speaking of big Fiends, we have Rainbow Overlord of the Dark World. He's not one of my favorites, but he's in here because of his fusion thing. But anyways, if this card is discarded from your hand to your graveyard by an opponent's effect, so it has to be an opponent's effect to pull him off, special summon this card from your graveyard, and if summoned this way, destroy all monsters your opponent controls or all spells and traps they control. So he's got a powerful effect, but he has to be discarded by your opponent's card, and that's why we play things like this to make that happen. Then we got three of the Graphas. So he's 5 points each in the Genesys format, so I'm playing all three. He's your pretty much your good boss creature of the deck. Basically special summon him by returning a Dark World monster you control to your hand, which is good because you might want to get that card back to your hand. Like say you have Brow or something, you want to pop him back to your hand, and then you can discard, and then you can summon this guy from the graveyard. And if this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, target one card your opponent controls and destroy that target. Then if this card was discarded from your hand by your opponent's card effect, look at one random card in your opponent's hand. Then if it's a monster, you can special summon it to your side of the field. So pretty crazy, pretty cool, standard in all Dark World decks, I'm sure. Then we also have three of the Rainbow Overking. He's 0 points, so you can play all 3 if you want. You can special summon this card from your graveyard by returning 1 level 7 or lower Dark World monster you control, so basically the same as the Graph effect. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add 1 level 5 or higher Dark World monster from your deck to your hand, so you can grab your Grappa or gold or whatever you want. Then if this card was discarded by your opponent's card effect, you could special summon 1 level 4 or lower Dark World monster from your deck or graveyard to either field. So again, pulling off that to either field, you can throw him over there and get that effect going. And that's it for the monsters. Let's get into the spells. So we have 3 Mirage of Nightmares. I don't think I've ever played a deck that had 3 of these before. I remember back in the day before this card was banned, I don't know if I ever played 3 or not, but I think it could work really well in here. So during your opponent's standby phase, draw cards until you have 4 cards in your hand, and then during your standby phase, randomly discard the same number of cards you drew with this card effect to the graveyard. So obviously you're going to try and get your hand down pretty low to refuel up to 4, and then start discarding those Dark World monsters that you get. Now, if this is a continuous spell, so it's going to happen every turn. So if you want to, and this was a trick used always back in the day, you could draw the cards and then Mystical Space Typhoon it before you have to discard anything. So I threw in 2 Mystical Space Typhoons. Again, you could use those against your opponent too, depending on how well the game is going. But say you don't want to discard from Mirage of Nightmare, you want to keep those cards in your hand, then you can have that option to get rid of the Mirage of Nightmare. Then we got 3 Dark World Dealings. These are 5 apiece as well, so 5, 10, 15 points. It's pretty standard. Each player draws 1 card, and then each player discards a card. 1 Dark World Puppetry. I don't know if I was going to bump this up to 2 or not. It's kind of an interesting card. I like that it's quick play. Target up to 3 cards in any graveyard, banish them, then discard 1 Fiend monster. So it allows you to get a discard out of it, and if your opponent has some nasty cards in the graveyard, you can banish them. And then during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 of your banished Fiend monsters, add it to your hand. So there are instances where you are banishing Fiend monsters in this deck, so that's pretty good. Then I got 3 Dark World Ascension. This is your Fusion spell card. It's a quick play as well. During your main phase, Fusion summon 1 Fiend monster from your extra deck by banishing materials mentioned on it from your field or graveyard. If Fusion summoning a Dark World monster in this way, you can discard monsters as materials. So it's really cool. It allows you to discard the cards so you can pull off their Dark World effects. If this card's in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand, then discard 1 Dark World monster. You can only use the effect of Dark World Ascension once per turn. So, I am playing a full play set of 3. I guess you could pull it off with 2 as well, but you really want to get to these fusions. They're really cool. This guy also, Grapha Dragon Overlord of the Dark World. He's 5 points as well, so there's 15 points right there. And you'll notice that my deck is missing 1 crucial Dark World monster, and that's Snow. He's probably one of the best Dark World monsters that you can normal summon. But he's like 33 points, so I had to make a decision. Do I cut out 3 cards that are 5 points each, or do I leave Snow in? So I pulled him out. I mean, what's 1 card going to do anyway? Then I got 2 the Gates of the Dark World. I figure there's card draw in this deck. There's there's this guy that sorry, he's not in there. There's the guy that can pull it out to your hand. So you got 3 of them. So I figure you got chances to pull these cards out. The reason why I didn't go to 3, I felt that it's a card that could sit in your hand. If you already got one on the field, you'd have to just somehow discard it with Dark World Dealings, or because you can't really do anything. You can't set it to your back row, and you don't want to clog up your hand with cards. Then you won't be able to maximize Mirage of Nightmare, because if you already have 4 cards in your hand, you're not going to be able to draw anything. But yeah, the Gates is a cool card. All Fiend monsters gain 300 attack, whatever. Once per turn, you can banish 1 Fiend monster from your graveyard, discard 1 Fiend type monster, then draw a card. So it's a good card draw. You can banish your this guy here that's the searches for it. That allows you to special summon him. So there's a lot of fun things you could do with that card. Pretty standard in Dark World. Then we got 3 Dark World Archives. This card's also 5 points a pop, so 5, 10, 15. Like I said, I believe when I added it all up, I got up to exactly 100 for this deck. So Dark World Archives is during your main phase, you could discard 1 Dark World monster, and if you do, Dark World monsters you currently control gain attack equal to the level of the discarded monster in hand by 100 points. So it's a little bit of a power boost, but also giving you the fact that you can discard. And if a monster whose original type is Fiend is discarded from your hand by the effect of a Dark World card or an opponent's card effect, even during damage step, you could discard 1 card, then draw 2 cards. You can only use the effect of Dark World Archives once per turn. So, really good card. I mean, I was originally playing this at 2, but, you know, I thought, if anything, you just set it if you don't want to have it in your hand. Then for the traps, we got 3 of the punishments. This is a good one. When a monster would be normal or special summoned, you can negate the summon, and if you do destroy the monster, then discard 1 Fiend monster. If a Dark World monster you control would be destroyed by battle or by opponent's card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So I like when a lot of these cards have double uses, especially in the graveyard. So you're going to be worried about decks that have like cards that make all your, you know, Macrocosmos, that type of thing. You're going to have to worry about that. You might want to, if you are worried about that, bump up your mystical space typhoons. But really good card. That's your counter trap of the deck. And 1 Dark World Brainwashing. When your opponent activates a monster effect, if you have 3 or more cards in your hand, which is cool because this will always make sure that happens. Except during the damage step, you could target 1 Dark World monster on the field, return it to your hand, and if you do, the activated effect becomes your opponent randomly discards 1 card. So basically, again, making your opponent's card telling you to discard a card, and then you can pull off that Dark World effect. That's really cool. So that's the main deck. And the Fusion deck, I just got the 3 of the Grappa Overlord of the Dark World and 1 Chlorless Chaos King of the Dark World. So this guy, he requires Rainbow Overlord of the Dark World and 2 Fiend monsters. If this card is fusion summoned, you could destroy all cards your opponent controls. This card's original attack and defense each become the number of materials used for its summon times 1,000. Once per turn, quick effect, you can target 1 face-up card you control, discard 1 card, and also your opponent cannot target that face-up card. Card effects for the rest of his turn. So really cool. He's like, would be around 3,000 attack, and a nice little negate effect. And then we got this guy. He needs Grappa, Dragon Lord of the Dark World, plus 1 Dark Monster, 3,200 attack, really good. When your opponent activates a monster effect or a normal spell or trap card while you have cards in your hand, quick effect, you can activate this effect. The activated effect becomes your opponent discards 1 card. You can only use the effect of Grappa, Dragon Overlord of the Dark World once per turn. Yeah, that'd be crazy if it was like you could keep using it. If this fusion summon monster is in its owner's control leaves the field because an opponent's card, you can special summon 1 of your Grappa Dragon of the Dark World that is banished or in your graveyard. Then each player with a hand discards 1 card. So, really nutty card, really crazy. Like pulling that off, getting him out on the field could be really nutty. But yeah, this is the Dark World deck that I put together for the Genesys format. This is still a new format, so we really don't know what everybody's going to be playing at this point. Anyways, let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. Hope you subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.